Coming up, we're diving into more of your feedback and a new app to combine all of your social media feeds, podcasts, YouTube, and more launches today.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Sean Priest.
Hey, Sean Priest, how are you this fine day?
Excited, Stephen Scott. How are you, sir?
I'm excited too, because we've got a new app to talk about today. And you know, it's one of those things, right? You hear about a new app launching, you go, oh, a new app launch, oh, it's exciting. And then you go, oh, but hang on, will it be accessible to us blind folks?
Yes.
Right, let's go through the process and let's find out and download it and fingers crossed and unlabeled button, or is it going to be a joyous experience? Well, I have a hunch today. I can tell you, I have a hunch that this is going to be, in fact, I have more than a hunch, this is going to be a great app for people. It's called Tapestry. Now, we talked about it before, and it's a brand new app that is launching today, and very excited to talk to the guy behind it, someone who's been on our show many times in very different situations. Let's be honest about it, Sean. We've spoken to this man on a few different occasions in bad times and in good times. Let's put it that way. Let's bring on Gedeon Mayheux, who is from IconFactory. Good to have you back with us on Double Tap, Gedeon.
Thanks for having me back. It's great to be here.
Listen, it's great to have you here because, you know, this is an amazing day to launch an amazing app. For those who haven't been following the show, we have talked about Tapestry before on the show, but for those who haven't, tell us a bit about it and a bit about the origins of this.
Well, the app aims to be a one-stop shop for you for your social media, your podcasts, your RSS feeds, and anything else you can get to on the open web. And it came about because our previous social media app, Twitterific, which let people access Twitter, third-party apps, was unceremoniously killed and has gone the way of the dodo. And we needed something to take up the slot, the gap. There was a big hole left by that. And we moved from Twitter to Mastodon, and in the interim, you know, the rise of Blue Sky and other social media networks like Microblog has come along, and people have scattered across the internet, and they haven't really found one place, at least yet, where they have congregated. And so it's tougher than ever to follow people across social media. And that's one of the main goals of Tapestry, is to be able to have one app and you can follow them wherever they are and be able to easily digest it in chronological order without any algorithms getting in the way, and you know, all of that.
Yeah, it's really clever, actually, Tapestry, weaving the threads of social media together, right? It's very clever how you've done that. And it is breaking down those walls, because people are almost forced into choosing an ecosystem, a platform, and you're stuck there, right? And this is trying to break out. Kind of takes me back. It almost feels a little bit retro to the days of Trillion with ICQ, MSN Messenger, Yahoo
Wow,
Messenger.
you're getting old.
I am old, all in one place. But I miss that, and this seems to fill that gap, like you said. I've got to say, I was a little bit dismissive last time we talked about Tapestry, because, you know, it does support a lot of social media, as you mentioned, RSS, YouTube, podcasts. It supports a lot Mastodon, but it doesn't support everything. And I thought that was going to be an issue. But I will say, I've played with the beta, and I've totally changed my mind. I think this is so good, so useful.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad to hear that. That's it's impossible for it to work with everything. I mean, it can't work with walled gardens like Facebook, and of course X doesn't allow third-party access, so it can't possibly work with everything. But Tapestry has an advantage over other apps that have come along like this, like OpenVibe and a few others, in that we offer an API so that developers can write their own connectors for Tapestry to reach out and find and connect to the sources on the web that they are most interested in, or that they think other people may be interested in. So it's quite extensible. And if you can't connect to it in Tapestry today, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's a big advantage, I think, for us.
Yeah, talk me through the Kickstarter process you went through, because we talked last year about this, and we were talking about the whole, Kickstarter, and you were trying to get to a certain amount of money so that you could make this app happen. You managed to exceed that goal of getting this on the iOS platform and doing more, and there is more to come, I know that. But talk to me a little bit about that process and what your feeling is about the way the community has got behind this app.
We've been so amazed. 2026 will be the 30th anniversary of the IconFactory in business. And first of all, that's just nuts. That's crazy that we're still here doing the same thing that we were doing 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But over that time, you have a lot of people who've built up respect, and, they want to be a part of what you create. And we have the best fans and supporters in the world. And when we decided to do Tapestry, we knew we couldn't fund it out of the box, just working on it for a year without any monetary support. It's hard to go off and build an app for any length of time unless you have angel funding, some serious backing for it. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to be beholden to any one person or company. So we started a Kickstarter, and we had done that with Twitterific for the Mac back in the day, and it worked out fairly well. And so we were confident it would work again. And we set our goals, and they helped spread the word. And we not only met the goals, we exceeded the goals. And it allows us to, make the app more robust than it is. We didn't reach all of the stretch goals, but we're confident that we'll be able to add the things that are missing to it that we want to be able to do it, partly and mostly because of the Kickstarter backers. So it's been humbling as always, and we are very grateful for everyone's support.
You mentioned the things that are missing. I'm going to ask you what you think those are in a minute. But you mentioned support for podcasts and YouTube as well. Now, I haven't tried those yet. I'm using it with my RSS feeds. How does that work with podcasts, for example?
For podcasts, it's just like subscribing to any other RSS feed. You would enter the URL for the feed for the podcast, either from Apple Podcasts or from their website. Tapestry goes out, grabs the feed, and puts it into the app. So whenever they release a new episode, it appears as another post in your timeline, and you can play it directly from the timeline if you wish, or mark it for later listening if you want to do that. Same with YouTube channels. You can put in just the URL for the YouTube channel, and it will subscribe to you. It will subscribe you to it in Tapestry, so that whenever they post a new video, you can see it appear in your timeline, your Tapestry timeline. The YouTube one has the advantage of you can have an option to not display the description text for the video, which I found to be very, very helpful, because some YouTube channels just post, paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of text along with their videos. So you can opt to not display that and just see the video.
Not here at Double Tap, I should say, because we are generally allergic to work.
Lazy.
Here. Yes.
Oh, I wanted to bring that up. I'm so glad that you can play that in the app itself. I was wondering whether it just gave you a description of the episode, but you didn't get the option to listen to it straight away. So that's very good. I also noticed that when you join, or when you start up the app, you've got some predefined categories there. So if you don't know of any RSS feeds to join, you can get started with some defaults for your timeline. I noticed that Double Tap wasn't in the technology category there. Yeah, I know. I went through 3 times.
That's a
Can we change
disgrace. Well, Gideon, it's been great talking to you today. Thanks so much for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me. I've gotten so many messages from people, developers and content creators on the beta who's like, how do I get to that list? And it's pretty funny. So, I mean, we just obviously went through and picked some of our favorites from the web, but it's tough being mindful about accessibility and all of those things. So yeah, I'm not opposed to adding it. I think it would be a great idea.
But hey, listen, I want to talk to you about accessibility, because of course that's the big question. I know you were already hit up by a few people on Mastodon saying, hey, will this work for blind people? Now look, you have a reputation through Twitterific with the community, a very strong reputation of building a really accessible, well-loved app that a lot of people felt sorry for losing. And that had nothing to do with you, of course. That was down to let's just say the new occupant of the White House. No, sorry, the Twitter building.
No politics.
No politics here. For obvious reasons, with that reputation, the sense is that, well, this app would be too. Now, look, like Sean, I tested out this app on beta as well. And, I wasn't surprised by how accessible it was. I do have some hints and tips. I do have some thoughts. And I can give you them off air if you want, or here. It's entirely up to you. But look, very early days, obviously. I'm playing with the beta, trying stuff around. But, there's no issues in getting access to the content. I'm really excited about being able to access the YouTube content via this app, because this is often the challenge for blind people trying to navigate YouTube. We hear it all the time. People saying it's a difficult website. It can be difficult if you're not used to it. For those who are used to it, well, that's a different thing. But being able to take that subscription link and just put it right into the app is just wonderful. So, I want to ask you about the accessibility journey, because it's something you would have thought of right away based on your experience in the past with the community.
Yeah, we all know how important accessibility is, and it was honestly one of the best parts about Twitterific was making it as accessible as possible, and also getting feedback from the community and incorporating that feedback into the app. There's nothing like firsthand feedback on this topic, and so it's tough while you're developing the app to get the things that you need to get done and do and make it as accessible as possible. But fortunately, we have great beta testers, and they have provided loads of feedback. And I'm not sure what version you guys are using, if you're using 1.0 or 1.0.1, but the amount of accessibility changes between those two is immense.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, the navigation in 1.0.1, which will be out after the initial release, is greatly improved, greatly streamlined, much easier to navigate for the blind. And we've done quite a bit of optimization there, and we will continue to do it. We always look forward to the feedback such as yours about how to make the app better and how to make it more accessible. And not just for voiceover, but also, dynamic type and reducing motion for other people. Tapestry respects all of the accessibility settings in iOS. So if you turn off autoplay videos, autoplay animated GIFs, it will do that in the app. And a lot of the other apps don't do that. I've heard.
Know. Yes.
Yeah. So we try to do that out of the box. We try to do that at launch. And
very good. Well, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire here, because you did say that the current beta will not be the one that's released, and the accessibility is improved. So would you say to people, let's say voiceover users, that they hold off downloading the original official release and wait till the next update?
I wouldn't do that. The app is 1.0 is completely accessible, and it is navigable. You can navigate it with voiceover just fine. It's a little verbose, and it is a little redundant. I wouldn't hold off on it. I would get it all downloaded and set up for you so that it's ready to go, so that when 1.0.1 comes, it will be ready to go and much improved. It's totally one of those situations where if we had another week, I would have incorporated all of the features that are in 1.01 into 1.0. Yeah. But honestly, when you go through initial app review, especially for a new app, you have no idea how hard or how easy it is to get through app review. And to be honest, I was expecting Tapestry to go at least a couple weeks through rejections and revisions in order to get it through review and into the App Store. And for some reason, that did not happen. Tapestry just sailed right through app review, and on the in the 2 days, it was like, yep, you're approved, you're ready to go. We had this whole schedule built into the release about revising it, getting things updated so it wouldn't be rejected. All of these things were in the planning stages of it. And then all of a sudden it's just, nope, it's approved. And then, so if you go back and you say, okay, well, it's approved, I'm going to add in these features. That means you have to reject the app, add the features in, resubmit it, hopefully hope that it doesn't get rejected that time and go through the process all over again. And we just opted not to do that.
That sounds sensible.
Yeah.
So you're saying that it is totally usable. It's just with the update to come, it just sort of makes it more efficient, maybe takes away some of the verbosity for screen reader users.
Yeah, can I pick up on that? Because that was the first, not verbose in the sense of when you added items to the feed, one thing that it does for me is it obviously has to distinguish what each thing is. Now, I think visually there are colors that show you different feeds. I don't know how you would plan to do that, or how you could do that audibly, perhaps with a sound effect or something, perhaps per item or whatever, or per feed. I don't know. But I do think that it tells you a lot of information about the individual post. So let's say it's Mastodon. It will tell you first, as you swipe to it, Mastodon, it will tell you the username, it will tell you any other information that's added there, then it will read the post to you. And you kind of just want to get to the post, right? You want to get to the information. Right. That's a challenge, though, isn't it, when you're dealing with multiple feeds from multiple places and making sure that the feed is understandable to the user.
Yes. There have been so many challenges with Tapestry. Excuse my doggo there. He's barking at someone. But the main challenge with Tapestry has been to manage and display and make multiple content sources from across anywhere, literally on the web, into a unified appearance, unified method of presentation in the timeline. And RSS readers have done something like this for years, but they have not had the added complexity of social media in the timeline. And just because someone says something on Blue Sky does not mean that format is followed on Mastodon or on Tumblr or on Microblog. They all have their unique components. But one of the things that I and the entire team wanted to do is make sure that when you read the timeline, you know exactly where this thing came from. And that was one of the key decisions in the design. And it does make it tougher for voiceover users because it's always got to be there. It's always got to be read. Maybe a sound effect is a better way to go. Maybe you can define those sound effects per content source. That's a great suggestion. I'm going to write that down.
I would suggest just an option in the settings that you could rearrange the order of those things. So maybe content first, or maybe the ability to turn off those, because not everyone wants to know what feed it's coming from. They just want the content. I find the same thing. As I said, I'm just using the RSS feeds list that I've got. Let me say this, by the way, so easy to import an OPML file. It just works beautifully, and I could go through and select the ones I wanted to import. It was fantastic. But I was going through and it would say blog, Engadget, and then for some reason Engadget have this huge tagline, a web magazine where we obsessively post about tech. And every time I swipe through it would say that. I thought, oh, that's going to be annoying. But then you could go into the RSS feeds in the settings and you could edit the name. So I just cut all that out and changed it to Engadget, and it worked perfectly. So it was very nice. It is difficult, how much information to give, because you're not going to please everyone.
Yeah, it's impossible to please everyone.
Yeah.
What about news information? So let's say I'm taking it from a source like CNN or CBC or whatever it might be. I'm taking an RSS feed of news. How does that display in the app? I haven't tested that yet. How did it work? So do you fetch the full text like an app like Lyre might do, or do you send off to the website? How does it work?
It does fetch the entire post. It depends on how you set Tapestry to display. You can set it to display a mini collapsed version of that item, a small preview of that item. There are different settings for how much text is displayed. And then, of course, you can always drill down. There's an open details button that you can tap and it'll slide over and show you the entire post with all of the text and images and everything for it. So if it's a blog, if it's a very long blog, you don't want all of that text right in the timeline, especially if you're a voiceover reader. You can opt to not do that. But even for sighted people, the app, has the ability to collapse posts down to just the author and the timestamp for it. For sighted people, that's helpful because they can see via color where it came from. For voiceover users, you'd have to go to the next level of expansion up, which is collapsed. It's not the mini mode that I'm talking about. This is the collapsed version. You still have the service that it came from, the author, and then the first line of the preview of whatever it is. If it's a social media post, it's the first few words of their post. If it's a blog post, it's the title of the blog post, so that you can decide whether you want to read it or not.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. For screen reader users, I would say then just go straight to expanded mode, right? Because I did try the mini mode, and as you said, it doesn't read any of the content, just the blog and the name and when it was.
Right.
Which, you need to double tap then to see the content, which is fine, but it wasn't for me. And obviously the collapsed and expanded, the only difference would be visually. I mean, from how much space it takes up, it doesn't make much difference to a screen reader user.
This is one of the benefits of Mastodon for us blind folk is that, if someone decides to sit and write War and Peace inside a toot, we can just one swipe and it's gone, and I love that, just move on to the next one. Yeah, I love that.
It also depends on the instance that you come from. Some instances don't allow that and some do. So
it's interesting because, obviously you're going to get a lot of feedback, I guess, from the community once this kicks up. I can imagine a lot of blind people are going to be interested in this. A lot of sighted people, of course, are going to be interested in this. And it kind of comes to that point. I mean, your timing here couldn't really be better. We're in a world now where social media is becoming increasingly difficult, increasingly toxic. And, one thing your app allows is to get away from that to some degree. That's another selling point here, isn't it? That you can do this on Mastodon, you can do it on certain specific platforms, but you can't do it across the board. If you don't want to hear about, say, one particular individual or one particular thing, you can get away from that. You can mute it inside the app, and that would apply across, I guess, everything. So in your news feeds, they're a little bit more curated for you and your comfort.
That's one of the best parts, honestly, about the app. I knew it was going to be a great feature in the app, but I didn't really realize until we arrive at this point in time how great it would be. And the thing that makes it so awesome is that it applies to all of your feeds at the same time. You don't have to go into Mastodon and set a mute or a muffle there, and then go to Blue Sky and set a mute and a muffle there, and then go to a blog, all the blogs that you're following and figure out some keywords that you want to set for those. All you do is you set it once and apply it to everything in the Tapestry timeline, and therefore it's simultaneous, it's quick, it's easy, and it helps you stay sane. It helps you, to avoid spoilers or whatever the thing is that you don't want to see or interact with. We took the part of Twitterrific that we liked the best, which we call Muffles. So those items can either be minimized in the timeline or completely removed. You don't have to see them at all. They'll be invisible to you if you choose that. But their default is that they're minimized and that they are just a single line in the timeline. And you choose whether you want to tap it and to view it or to listen to it or not. It will say, this spoiler exists. Do you want to view it or not? You can totally skip it, go right past it on to other things. And it's great.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Very nice. Now, you mentioned and explained to me the way podcasts and YouTube work. And as I mentioned, I haven't installed or added Mastodon yet. So it's not just for reading Mastodon posts, right? Can you interact, reply, things like that?
You can't reply directly in Tapestry. There's no actual way to reply within Tapestry, but there is every feed that can be interacted with, and you can set your preferred app that you want to reply to a Mastodon post in, whether that's the official app, Ivory, Mona, or whatever other app you want. You can specify which app you want to use when you use with Mastodon, and when you tap that one icon in Tapestry, it will open that post in that app so that you can quickly reply to it, favorite it, boost it, whatever you want to do.
Okay, excellent. I mean, I think the dog's suggesting you maybe should just build a Mastodon client into this thing.
Yeah.
I'm just surmising what the dog bark meant there. Let's talk about availability of this because you're going to be available on iOS. I mentioned earlier about the Kickstarter as well, and the next goal, I believe, on the Kickstarter is to get that amount up to, I think, $250,000, which would enable you to create a native Mac version. But I did see online you were mentioning about the possibility of a Mac OS app coming soon. So that's definitely on the cards for you?
Yes, it is. It's the app at launch is an iOS universal app for iPhone and iPad. There's still some optimizations and things we want to do for the iPad, so that's not per se done. You can use Tapestry on the Mac in emulation mode right now. If you have Apple Silicon and Sequoia, you can run the iPad version on your desktop. There's a lot of caveats there. There's a lot of things that don't work exactly as they should because it's not a native Mac app, but we will be working on a native Mac app. We've made that decision, and we've had some sponsors come along that we'll be talking about in the days ahead that have helped to make that a reality. And we all want it. Everyone wants it, a native desktop Mac version of Tapestry. And hopefully we can get there, in months or however long it's going to take. Hopefully it won't take as long as the iOS version did.
And of course, Windows. I mean, everyone loves Windows. No?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually got someone asking me that just yesterday. They asked, when's the Windows version? My answer is all the same. We don't use Windows. We don't use Android. We have always been Mac users. We've always been iOS users. That's what we know. We test. We own. And so we develop for what we have. Yeah.
I'll get Stephen to send your Windows laptop over. He's got enough.
Yeah, I've got the ones I don't use.
Stop it.
Someone asked me, can I run Tapestry on Vision OS?
Wow.
And, no.
Why would you want to? I will say I could see an Apple Watch version, but that's another story.
Oh, yeah. Oh, let's go. No, let's not, actually. Let's talk about costs. So, subscription-based?
Yes. Yep. You can subscribe for $1.99 a month or $20 for a whole year, which is a little bit of savings. Or if you don't want to subscribe, you can do a single one-time lifetime purchase that will unlock the product for the life of it for $80.
Oh, don't get them started on this, Gideon. Oh, here we go again.
Does lifetime mean lifetime until I'm dead?
We talked about this yesterday.
Until the App Store is no more. Yes. So we did that with Twitter Effect, and we do also do it with another of our apps, Linear Sketch for the iPad, where there's a lifetime option and it unlocks it forever. So.
Wow. Yeah, listen, it's a great app. I encourage people to go and try it out. You can, of course, run this without a subscription. You'll just get ads, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to pay.
You won't. Yeah, you won't be able to save. You won't be able to change the color of feeds. You won't be able to save muffle rules, muting rules in Twitter and in Tapestry. So.
Old habits die hard, eh?
Yes.
Yep.
Listen, Gideon, it's been wonderful talking to you today. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about this amazing new app, Tapestry, which is available on iOS today and macOS coming soon. Thanks so much, Gideon.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Help.
Thanks.
Really great to hear from Gideon, and I do wish him best with that app. Really, really good. Sean, normally we talk our nonsense at the beginning of the show, but obviously I wanted to get Gideon on right away, and that means we do the nonsense. No, yeah, exactly. I feel like I haven't told you any stories today because honestly, so something happened to me yesterday that was embarrassing and funny, all at the same time. And I want you to play the game of Guess What Happened Next, which I'm sure you're going to get right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's everyone gather around.
Gather around for Stephen's story. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
My wife buys herself a big mug. There's a very popular things called like Stanley mugs or something they're called. I don't know. That's a brand, apparently. I don't know nothing about it.
Okay.
But basically, it's a 1.5 liter mug. It's huge, big handle on it. There's a straw sticks out of it. Lots of people who have them nowadays seem to be very popular. And she was telling me about the joy of this mug. And she had just filled it with lots of beautiful juice, as I call it, orange juice to have. And as I was talking, guess what happened next, Sean Priest?
You knocked it over.
Turned around in the kitchen, knocked it right over. The lid was on, but it came off, and the 1.5 liters of water went absolutely everywhere. And
so what are you saying? You're saying the Stanley Cup I don't
Terrible.
believe it's called that. Is badly
I'm
designed.
sure that's something else. That's a sports thing, isn't it?
That's hockey, I believe.
I think it
Yes.
might be.
Hello, Hello, Canada. Yeah.
Canada, yeah. But I always thought that was a tennis thing. But anyway, whatever. So
Did you break it?
I didn't. No, it didn't break. No, it's like made of metal, so
quality.
it's fine. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. But here's the rub was that my wife said grab the mop to clean it up, and I said the problem is we've just thrown the mop out because it needed to be replaced. So
Right.
I was dispatched, not quickly enough, clearly, to find towels to mop up the mess that way.
Kitchen towels or actual towels?
Big towels, like bath towels.
Oh, okay, bath towels. Yeah, okay. That's
And
a
it
lot
took
of water.
two of them.
Okay.
It was a lot of water. And I kind of went with the theory that, clearly there's going to be some kind of gap in the floor. This water will eventually find its way down. So you just leave it.
Okay.
But
Just
she
leave it.
wasn't-
It'll sort itself out. Yeah, it's
It'll
fine.
dissipate by itself.
Yeah, the elves will get it. It'll be all right.
Turn the heating up. It'll just evaporate.
Sticky floor, Stephen Scott.
Yeah, exactly. It's only orange juice. What could possibly go wrong? But
Yeah.
we got it fixed. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you that because it was my blind moment yesterday. Having a lot of these days.
Well, I just ordered 8 large mugs myself because, as I mentioned, I think it was yesterday, I bought some cups before and they were tiny, absolutely tiny. So I went on, right, this time I'm going to make sure I get big mugs. All I want is straight up and down mugs. The mugs you get in a cafe, just normal mugs. Ordered them. And of course I get them and they're tapered. So they're wide at the top and they taper down to a little...
They are blind man's nemesis and blind woman's nemesis.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm keeping them. I give up. I cannot find a straight up and down mug. So, the thing is, you fill them up. They're 565 milligrams, liters. I don't know. But they're quite big. Nice size. But if you accidentally touch them just a little bit, one little nudge, and that's
Over
it.
on the side.
They are over. But hey ho, it's the things we got to live with.
You should be using your double tap mug. That's what I use.
What double
It's
tap mug?
flat-footed. I gave you a double tap mug.
Where
You
did
lost
you
it
give me?
already.
I've never. Oh, you have. It's in this
Thank
cupboard,
you.
I think.
Yes, I know.
It's not
I
big
gave
enough.
you that.
It's tiny.
Oh,
Yeah.
way.
It's too small. Oct. It's too small, Stephen.
Scottish when I start all that. Oh, I the new. Right, look, let's move on. Let's get some emails
Quickly.
in today. Yes, let's get some emails. Come on.
Email, we get email. We get your email every day.
We do.
Here's your mail today.
Now, I'm deliberately not singing along with that because I feel like I would be out of sync. So that's the reason there's a bit of silence there. I know a lot of our listeners will be saying, but where's the sing-along? I'm sorry.
I think the
gone away.
sing-along is at home. I think you are the sing-along.
No, I'm not doing it. I don't feel I'll be in sync this time. And
Once
unless
you
I'm
listen on
perfectly
air, when you listen to the show going out on air,
Yeah.
then you can sing along. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the deal.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yes, I'm with you now.
Spoiling it for other people, you see.
It's a karaoke, basically.
Kind of thing,
Okay.
yeah.
Enjoy yourselves.
Right, I want to kick off with RV Jim, as he calls himself. This guy has an amazing life. I want this life. RV Jim.
Hello, Double Tappers, Stephen and Sean. Thank you for the great work you do. This is Jim, or otherwise sometimes known as RV Jim, as I have recently, in the last year or so, taken up residence in RV. Anyway, a few things. First off, I thought the Braille discussion was good. I'm a grade 1 person. I learned grade 1 in elementary school in the U.S., and unfortunately had kind of a traumatic experience learning Braille, because I had a teaching assistant that was not very nice, and so I've kind of got a little bit of PTSD. I've, as an adult, tried to finish learning grade 2, but I know some of it. But I'll be honest with you, I don't really need to label things anymore because of the iPhone, meta glasses, and all that. But grade 1 seems to work well for me, elevators, things like that. So, I think it's good, but I still have some, lessons that I've been practicing with grade 2. Meta glasses, I think they're great. I was gifted some during the holidays. A friend bought some that didn't fit her, and so she gave them to me when she bought another pair. So I'm thankful to her. Lastly, I want to say that I am excited about AI, but I will tell you I had some very interesting experiences in calling Ray-Ban customer service. They I've got some people that were extremely knowledgeable, and I had one guy that told me you had to use Wi-Fi for everything, that you couldn't use the glasses unless you had Wi-Fi, which I live in an RV and there's not really good Wi-Fi out here. But my friend that I bought the glasses from, she took them to a Sea Life Park in St. Louis, and they worked just fine without Wi-Fi, and obviously I'm using it fine without Wi-Fi. And I reminded the guy the call was being monitored and recorded, and I said, are you sure? This is like the first or second day I got them. He said, yes, you have to have Wi-Fi or they won't work. You can't do anything with it. But everybody else has been great, so you're going to get a dud once in a while, but I thought that was kind of interesting. But otherwise, they've been great, and so thank you for all the great work you all do. Sorry for such a long message. This is RV Jim in the southeastern United States. Have a great day, and thank you.
Now, RV Jim, I want to say thank you for the message. I also want to, I think I should publicly apologize to my wife, because since getting your message and listening to it, I have been walking around the house annoying my wife, singing the classic C.W. McCall Convoy song. That's just been,
why?
You got a great big convoy. And the thing is,
why?
Because that's just I don't know. I know he's not in a truck.
An RV isn't.
I know it's not a truck, but to me it's a very large vehicle.
Well, like, not necessarily. VW.
No, hang on. Very
Volkswagen
large vehicle. VLV. There you go. He's in a VLV.
Well, okay, we would call it a camper van over in the UK.
It's not a camper van. These things are houses.
You don't know what size.
A 5-bedroom house on wheels.
Anyway, Jim, thank you. I'm sorry you had a traumatic experience with a teaching assistant there.
Yeah,
but it's funny. I don't think people realize what an effect something like that at an early age can have on you.
Of course.
Especially, I remember, the bad teachers, of course, because it is traumatic, absolutely. But I'm glad you're still struggling on with Braille.
Trucking on. See, I'm trying to get this truck in here.
Meta glasses, great. I'm glad to hear. And when it comes to support, yes, you're always going to get one that's a dud. And let me say this as well, because I still see this. How do I use the Meta Ray-Bans when I'm outside of my house? They don't use the Wi-Fi for general AI work, for anything. The only time they need Wi-Fi is when they're sending the photos or videos that you've took from their onboard storage to the phone. That's it, or running an update as well. But for just using them, it just uses the internet that your phone is connected to. So that could be the Wi-Fi of your house when you're at home, or when you're outside, the data connection from your cell provider.
But this is the problem with sometimes when you go into these stores and these guys or girls will talk to you and they talk with an authority and they don't know. And look, arrogance is everywhere, right? I mean, it's not an unusual trait. I mean, it happens. But you just think, when you're selling a product, people could walk away from that. RV Jim nearly walked away from that. He's like, I don't have Wi-Fi. I don't have good Wi-Fi, so I won't be able to use this. So I might not buy it.
You can't use them outside, basically, is what that would mean.
And they are glasses. I mean, where else are you going to use them, right? Especially sunglasses.
I like the point, Jim, that you said. You do know that this call is being recorded for training and monitoring purposes.
That was a clever line.
Turn the tables. I like that.
Didn't work, though, did it? No. However, he has been having some issues, though, RV Jim. So we're going to do a follow-up email here, or voicemail, I should say, from RV Jim, having some issues with the Meta Ray-Bans. Let's hear what he's had to say.
Hey, Double Tappers. It's Jim from, RV Jim, we'll just say, because I travel quite a bit, usually between Florida and Georgia, but that's okay. I wanted to share that over the last few days, I have had issues where my Meta glasses, which I love, have been telling me that it didn't have permission to send messages, like text messages, or I needed to go into my phone settings and, it said only phone and things like that. And I'll go in and everything's checked. And one of my other friends in Clubhouse room said, well, you may need to repair them. Well, as you know, when you pair, not repair like fix, but when you repair the glasses, you got to go into the app, and it's a lot more complicated than just pairing a Bluetooth, traditional Bluetooth headset. So I'm hesitant to do that because my first time back in December when I got my glasses took a while to do it. So I'm a little afraid of that. I'm just acknowledging that I'm a little afraid of doing that. But then this morning, I tried it, and it worked beautifully, as if I hadn't done anything. So I don't know. If y'all have any suggestions or anyone have the same problem, I don't know if it's just being funky and challenging or whether it's just a normal thing where occasionally it takes permissions away and gives them back. I don't know. Thanks for all the great work.
Thanks,
Well,
Jim.
Jim, I'm going to say it's just being funky and challenging. I've noticed similar responses as well. Now, as you mentioned, and I thought this is where we were going to go, but you preempted it by saying you've checked. In order to use things like your contacts and send messages, you need to give permission for the glasses to be able to do that. And you actually do that in the Bluetooth settings. So you go to Bluetooth settings, you find the Meta Ray bands, and when you double tap on there, you'll find a whole list of permissions that you can give it. As I mentioned, contacts and things like that. You need to make sure they're all turned on, but you've done that already. So yeah, I think it's just a glitch, to be honest. I'm having one at the moment wherever I'm asking it to play some music, it will say, you need to connect to the Apple Music app, but it already is. Now, if I say play some music from Apple Music, it will do it every single time. So there is just a bit of a glitch, and sometimes it will do it, sometimes it won't. So yeah, I think there is a little bit of a consistency problem, but it sounds like you've, you know everything you should be checking and you've checked it already. So yeah, I'm just going to say it was just Meta being funky.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this as well with calls. Some days I'll say, call Sean Priest, and it'll say, oh, you can't call Sean Priest. Or it'll say, use WhatsApp. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You know, it just seems to kind of do its own thing every day. You know, it has this little kind of glitch as it goes along. Now, of course, bear in mind as well, there are a lot of updates coming through these apps a lot of the time, especially that one. Getting a lot of updates more regularly than I've seen other apps get. So, you know, that could be part of it. Could be some reset of permissions. Apple, I mean, on the Mac at the moment, I mean, I've got to say, guys, on the Mac, everything is about, you know, security and privacy. And look, that's great and it's wonderful, but it gets a bit annoying, especially now they've brought in these rules that say pretty much it has to ask you every day to allow information. Like if you want location information, you say yes. It'll say, remember my decision for one day. And that's the only option. And I'm like, can't I just set this for life? You know, do I really have to say this every single day? You know, I'm the only one that uses the computer. I'm the only one that cares. So, you know, I just don't. I don't get it, but equally I do appreciate the privacy aspect. But yeah, it could be something to do with that, Jim. But like Sean says, it's probably likely to just to be a bit funky. Best thing I tend to do with these things is just, you know, either switch, not so much the glasses switch on and off, but certainly close the Meta View app. You know, go into the app switcher and just 3-finger swipe up and get rid of the app and try opening again and just see if anything changes. And also make sure your apps are up to date as well, because that's another thing you've got to make sure.
Standard response, turn everything off.
IT response,
and see how you get on.
Ryan Kelly's been in touch. He wants to talk about our conversation we had the other day about humans versus AI when it comes to narration. He was picking up, I think, on Brian's email.
Ooh, double tappers. Ryan Kelly here. I just wanted to say that a little word about your reading thing with AI and TTS and actual human voices. Yeah, I think we are getting closer over time, but I also still believe that we are a very long way off. What is you know, off not necessarily perfect, but we're off even dialogue. You know, the conversation is my point. Really, is what I want to talk about. So people speak in different accents. So if somebody's talking like that, they're talking with a yokel accent, and then they're going back into RP again when they're reading, or they're talking with an American accent. AI just isn't even close to that yet. I've not had any real good examples of conversational dialogue. It's not an option. And I am a voice actor, so I know a bit about voice. I've been in a radio soap called The Archers for years, and you get to know about that sort of thing. And while I agree you could get by with TTS at the moment, you could, and a lot of voluntary readers, as you know, are not quite so good, but a lot of professionally read books, if done properly and by the right author, which is key, or the right author rather, right reader. Hello, I wouldn't be very good at reading books, but if you've got it done by the right reader, then it's spot on. You know, they can't match that with TTS yet, and I think they're still quite a long way off doing it. Let's just see them do dialogue and find me some examples of that. About the most I think you'd get is expression, unless you used like different voices to do the dialogue. But accents are so subtle everywhere. You know, I mean, one end of America to the other, one end of Britain to the other. You know, such a variation in accents. And again, I think it's probably the same in Canada. I don't know for sure, but either way, they've got a long way to go yet, as far as I'm concerned. There's still nothing to beat. As you said, Sean, you can't beat the human voice. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Hope all's well with you guys. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, we're good. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Ryan.
Ooh, Ryan.
It sounds so wrong. You can't say, ooh, Ryan, the professional voice actor there from the BBC radio drama The Archers.
So I got message. I can say this now because you've said it, right, Ryan? And I was made aware of this. I'm not an Archers listener. I know I'm a horrible blind person and I should be taken outside and spoken to loudly. But yes, there's no time. There's no time for anything. And here's the thing. I was actually thinking of listening to the Archers program, and I thought, because I thought I'd kind of like. The problem is I want to start from the beginning.
Oh, yeah, good luck with that. No, that's not going to happen.
Can I do that? Can I start from
years?
Right, Ryan, come on. You must have access to, when you go in there, ask where the tapes are. I want a copy of everything from the beginning, and I promise you I will listen. No guarantees on any of that, of course. But no, I mentioned that, I got a lot of messages following your first message to us, Ryan, with people saying, do you know who that is? And, and I'm thinking, who is it? And then he's, it's the guy from The Archers. I'm like, oh, right. So there you go. So now I should listen to The Archers because we have a star in our midst. We have many stars in our midst, by the way.
We do, yes. But
all the stars
quite like, none like Ooh Ryan.
None like Ooh Ryan. We've
corrupted.
We've got all these people. I don't think Beyonce's listening yet, but you never know.
You never know. One day soon. I obviously totally agree with you. And I don't think we're there yet. But again, I don't think the argument is so much about, the comparison between human. Is it acceptable for content that wouldn't be narrated or we wouldn't have access to, if nothing else is available, if they don't have either the resources for a human voice actor, or they simply, don't have the, inclination to make something accessible to us, is a TTS actually acceptable? I'm still not sure about it.
Look, I think we've got to look at it a different way, if I'm honest. I think that it's going to... I know, I'm a horrible person. I just think we're going to have to face facts that companies are going to use this as an opportunity, especially when you think about Audible. They're going to see this as an opportunity to cut down on the human cost. Yes. And get robots in. So I think it's less about whether... It's not like someone's going to come to us as a community and say, okay, is this the right time we switch over to AI? Is now the right time? That's not how it's going to be. It's just going to become AI. We've already started to see it. Audible are starting to bring in the robots to read the books. We're getting audio description with AI now. I will admit that's even more obvious, I think, over a period of time. If you ever want to know if it's definitely, if you think this could be an AI voice, listen at the very end of the film. As soon as it starts reading the credits, that's what gives it away, because it starts speeding up. Yeah. It was one I listened to one night, and by the end of it, it was like, that way that Eloquence does it all the time. If it starts reading something really long, it starts speeding up.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what it was doing. At the end of this movie, it was hilarious.
The end of adverts where humans speed up as well. Investments may go up or down. Your house may be at risk.
That's right. Yeah, we will take everything from you. But no,
how do you safeguard against that? I mean, this is Ryan's profession.
I know, right? It's difficult. It's difficult.
There's no denying that Well, I suppose the argument is, if at some point AI does replace human voice actors, and you say, I can't tell a difference, then the argument is there a moral responsibility just to, keep that job sector open? If you can't tell a difference, I would say yes, but...
There's good. I mean, look, for the BBC, for example, where The Archers comes out of, and of course many people know The Archers around the world. It's a well-known programme around the world, so everyone will, or at least most people will know of it. And I certainly know of it. I like I said, I don't listen to it every day, or indeed any day. And I apologise, Ryan. I'm sorry. I will do better.
I didn't like the farmer accent that Ryan did. I felt that was pointed at me for some reason in his email. But that's okay. I'll forgive you, Ryan.
See, I don't think you sound that. It's funny. I don't hear that accent in you at all.
Oh, everyone else does, apparently. All right. Yeah. Okay,
yeah, when you do that, if you start becoming a farmer or my lover, I hear all that. I think I go Welsh a little bit on that. That's a problem. You see, I have gas, as you know, genetic accent syndrome,
and gas,
and
as
gas.
Well.
Yeah. But that's another story.
We went off on a tangent there. Let's just say thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Leander's been in touch. I think we've got time to play this in. We may need to cut short, but here's Leander.
Hi, Stephen and Sean and all at Double Tap. Hope everyone is well. Just thought I'd come on with a few thoughts. First of all, volunteering, I absolutely love it. I volunteered for 7 years on the reception desk of a charity for the blind and the disabled, and then volunteer now at a community centre which is integrated with the church but doesn't put religious views onto people, if you get what I mean. It's affiliated with our church. And also I do safe and well phone calls for people who have just come out of hospital at another centre. I'm totally blind. I've been from birth, and I feel that I'm really helped in my role as a volunteer in all the places I go. Secondly, the audio description thing. Interesting what somebody was saying about when they were young, not having audio description. I was the same. And I'm one of the few blind people who isn't a fan of audio description on the soaps and things. And I think it's because I've got that used to not having it on there that I just got used to imagining what was happening. I do love it, though, on dramas, and I do love it on films, but I do find that I am able to watch them without it. But it is very, very helpful. I would never say that it isn't. And the Neuralink thing, saying, do we need it? Well, that's like saying, do we need anything? If there's an operation that came out, do we need it? Everything has got to be given a chance, in society. Like you were talking about the dad who built his daughter an aid to help her walk. Maybe she'd expressed the want to walk, and he thought of a solution just to fulfill this wish. I think we need to give anything a chance as long as it's safe, to do so. That's the other thing. And I absolutely agree with you, Stephen, about we can't just expect just blind people to be able to run organisations, etc. And that's where a lot of places go wrong. And all this about a blind CEO. One charity, the one where I used to volunteer, the chairperson is blind, but the CEO who gets all the fundraising, does all the funding bids, should I say, is sighted, and that works out fantastic because he is absolutely brilliant at getting funding. So I think we do need the sighted help. You can or you can with help, as the saying goes. So I totally agree, Stephen, with what you're saying. Anyway, thanks again for a wonderful few shows.
Thank you, Leander. Thank you to all of you for your comments and your questions and your thoughts. We're going to be compiling more questions, by the way, for an upcoming Ask Mikey Anything. I think we've got to get Michael Babcock back to answer some more questions. It's hugely popular when we do it, so we're going to do another one of those soon. So if you do have any questions that you'd maybe like Michael or us to answer, then please do send them in. We've got a huge pile already, but we will add more in. So do keep them coming in all the usual ways. You can call us, you can email us, find the details at doubletaponair.com/contact, and you can keep up to date with what is going on the show tomorrow. We'll be back talking about huge amounts of other cool stuff, and of course more of your feedback and emails as well. A huge thanks to Gedeon Mayheux for joining us today. It was wonderful to learn about the Tapestry app. Cannot wait to get that out in the road properly and testing it out, and adding all my feeds to it. That's going to be my job.
You know what you're going to be doing, Stephen Scott? You're going to be searching for any accessibility bugs in there. That's what you're going to be doing.
I'm doing that, but I'm also going to be going off to try and find loads and loads of RSS feeds from organizations I follow, because sometimes they hide them, don't they? You can't always find them.
They've got an RSS finder in there. Type in the website and it goes off and finds it. I did it with appleviz.com and it found it straight away. Very good.
Oh, I'm sorted then. There you go. Thank you. That saved a huge amount of time. There you go. Honestly, this show helps.
Free.
We help each other, don't we? Listen, we're back tomorrow. Sean, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.